Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, my name is Dr. Ian Phillips, and today we have some breaking news for you guys here. Donald Trump has officially managed to weasel his way into the U.S. Mint and somehow get a $1 coin with his image on it. Now, I had to fact check this a couple times because I actually couldn't believe it. I went around, I fact checked it, I read it up, and this is actually real. And these are pictures of the coins which were released by the Treasury Secretary literally just today. Apparently, this is real. Donald Trump is actually going to be the first sitting U.S. president with his face on a coin in a very, very, very long time, if ever. And so, like this, the tradition was always that you don't do that because, one, you're a sitting president, and one, that could be unfair for future candidates, gets you more fame, and it kind of dates back to Rome, where, as you guys may or may not know, when Julius Caesar was assassinated, a lot of people, one of the main complaints levied against him, among a million other things, this wasn't the only complaint, and certainly not the biggest complaint, but one of the complaints was that he actually had himself on a coin, and people are like, oh, he's acting like he's a god because, gods and goddesses were famously on those coins, much like Athena, for example, would be on like a lot of like Greek coins. And so, like this tradition dates back to where people they're uneasy about having sitting leaders on coins. But Donald Trump doesn't care. Now, I'm just going to take a step back here, step back into reality and say, look, if I was a sitting U.S. president, I would love to have my face on a coin, before I'm dead. I'm just going to say it. Like, I would love to have it while I'm in office, right? I would love that, but in the same breath, I do recognize that there is a time and a place for things. And, would I have weaseled and finessed my way into allowing this to happen? I don't know. Maybe I would try, but Congress should probably stop me. And so anyways, it turns out that this is actually going to be a thing. And not only is this going to be a thing, this is already like set in stone. And we already have a lot of information about this that I didn't think we would have. And so how did this even come to be? Well, the current version here, as you can see on the obverse here, is going to be Trump's face, and it says "In God We Trust," and then it's a commemorative 250 years for America. Like that's the whole purpose of the coin. It's like, what is that called? Like the quincentennial or something like that, semi-quincentennial or something like that. So that's his face on the obverse, and on the reverse here, we're going to have obviously the standard American eagle. Everybody loves the American eagle, and it's like the same backing that we've seen on like the 50-cent coin for a very long time now, as well as other various different forms of coins like commemorative coins and whatnot. No shortage of them. Again, this is going to be more of a commemorative coin as to something you're going to see in circulation. Like, you're not really going to be walking around to your bank or going to a store and seeing this in circulation. This is more a commemorative coin, but still, nonetheless, this is legal U.S. tender. So you could technically spend this if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but you technically could do that. Now, with that said, the mint says it's already being produced. This is already done. It's already being produced in Philadelphia, and it's expected to be released in fall of 2026. And again, it's essentially a collectible as opposed to something you should expect to receive regularly as change. Now, earlier, apparently there was a separate version, which was discussed as being 24 karat gold, whose denomination was not yet settled. Sometimes 24 karat gold coins, they can be $100, they can be $50. Really just depends. Sometimes they could be $20 or, but it totally depends. But the design is now just going to be a gold finish here. And again, this is going to be the $1 gold coin. All right, so technically you could spend this for $1 in any U.S. Store. All right, anywhere that takes legal U.S. tender. Now, Trump himself, how did he weasel his way into doing this? Well, the Treasury is relying on the, quote, Circulating Collectible Coin Redesign Act of 2020. And this is what Trump designed or signed in himself back in January 2021 before he left office for Joe Biden to take the reins. Now, the law authorizes the Treasury Secretary to redesign American coins for the nation's 250th anniversary, and specifically authorizes a special $1 coin with designs emblematic of the semi-quincentennial. Now, again, Congress authorized this coin program here, but they did not vote to place Donald Trump personally on the coin. So how did he get into this? Well, I imagine there was some political maneuverings behind the scenes saying, look, you got to get me on there. You got to get me on there. Probably X, Y, Z. Who knows what was promised? Who knows what was done? Who knows what conversations happened behind closed doors? But what I can tell you here is that the law is kind of interesting here. So it says, here's the crucial language. It says, for coins issued under the 2026 anniversary program, the 2020 law prohibits 1, a head and shoulders portrait or bust of anyone on the reverse. And it says, quote, any portrait of a living person on the reverse, right? So, that's chalked. He can't be on that. But now he said, okay, well, what if I go on the front and the eagle goes on the back, right? So we can put me on the obverse, right, or the front of the coin. So there's the workaround there. And now, so is this legal? Well, not definitely. Its legality is, I guarantee you this is going to be disputed here. But it sounds like this is already going to happen. So whether or not we find this to be legal, unless this gets stopped, this is going to go out in circulation at some point, which is insane, dude. But with that said here, like generally speaking, like federal law says that only a deceased individual's portrait may appear on U.S. currency and securities. The provision developed principally around printed notes and securities produced by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Treasury's position appears to be that it does not control coins minted under the separate coin statutes. Now, okay, so like that, so there's the workaround. And like if you think even back to like the $1 U.S. coin program, I don't know if you guys remember that. I used to collect them. In fact, I think I even have my $1 U.S. coin book like literally behind me. And so, matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it out. You guys can see it here. As a numismatist myself, I thought about being like a coin grader. I figured it'd be the most like boring job in the world. But I used to collect coins a little bit when I was little, and again, like all the presidents who are, you see right here, dead can be on the coin, but if they're alive, they can't be on it. Like that's the $1 presidential coin program here, and the whole idea was is that you wanted to fill up the book. And I think at the time, I believe it only went up to Barack Obama, or no, did not. It went up to Ronald Reagan. But nowadays I'm not too sure if I don't really keep up with as much, but they might be including people like Obama or Jimmy Carter, H.W. Bush, whoever. But with that said, guys, it's kind of crazy to me. I don't know. I just find this to be absolutely wild. But Trump's been talking about doing this for quite some time, and he's been very, very upset. So now that the news is breaking that he's allowed to do this, I imagine this dude's probably happy as a clam. And I guess if I were in his shoes, I guess I would be too. But I don't believe that we need this type of person here on a coin. I mean, we can get him to him after, I guess, right? Remember our history, I suppose, even if it's a dark time in history. But as a sitting U.S. president and living president, nah, man, I don't think that's something that, Congress should probably be stepping in and say, you can't do that. You just can't do that. Like there's certain reasons why this is not done before, right? Because it's again, like the roots are very dictatorial in nature, which is, again, dating all the way back to Rome. So this isn't my argument. This is all the way back from the ancient Romans here. People criticizing even like Julius Caesar to be on like a coin. So crazy stuff here, guys. But if you did enjoy the video here today, try to get us to 510 subscribers. We hit 507 here last night. So thank you so much for that. You guys can follow me on social media at Ian Phillips USA. And thank you so much. We'll talk to you later, guys. Peace.